Unzipped Mind podcast. My name is Nick Smith. I'm here with Greg Minikis and Dylan Jessen. Welcome back.
What's up, guys?
Welcome back. Hello. It's good to be back.
Season
Good to
2.
be back.
Round 2.
Yeah.
We took a little break. We needed some time to decompress. I needed to start my classes, start my internship situation. So like we're getting our lives are moving. We're getting our lives organized, and this is us restarting fresh and fragrant.
Yes. And then
Very fragrant.
we're gonna go to bi-weekly.
We are going back.
We made some changes. So we should just get those out of the way. So everybody can know right off the bat. We are gonna go bi-weekly because weekly we just don't need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We just don't need it right now.
we have busy lives. You guys work a lot, you know.
And then you're going to school, right? Do you want to tell everybody what you're doing, Greg?
Oh yeah,
And what's going on with you?
yeah. I'm starting my master in social work at PSU. I just started my internship with I don't know if it's ethical to say, so I'm just not going to say. I'm working with a nonprofit in Portland.
Yeah.
As part of my internship, my sort of field placement, and yeah, I'm starting classes this week, and yeah, I'm really excited to move forward.
Very cool.
That is way
Start-
cool.
You know, get back in the classroom, just be the loudest, most obnoxious guy in the classroom again.
Yeah.
Is that typically your role?
That is typically my role. I'm like, well, someone has to fill up every micrometer of space when the professor's not talking, and I guess it might as well be me. Just
Do you challenge your professors?
No, I'm very genial, but I historically have talked too much, so my goal in this section of my school is to be, I'll still be talkative, but I'll be measured, and I will allow space for other people.
That's a very mature, grown version.
Let's see if I can actually make it actionable.
That's right. One class at a time, Gregory.
Yeah, one class at a time, one millisecond at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, like Greg said, we're gonna do some things a little bit differently this season, this go around. We are gonna go back bi-weekly, and that is too so we can like have the most quality kind of episodes produced for you guys. So we're not feeling pressured or rushed every week to kind of spit out those episodes.
Yeah,
we want to put a little bit more into them, and and we really want to show a little bit of our personalities a little bit more. And, that's, again, why we're kind of doing this intro all over again and kind of explaining what we're doing, who we are. And we'd like to show just our personality a little bit more in these episodes. And, of course, there's going to be some topics that's a little bit more difficult to do, some real serious ones. But and we want to focus on that community. That's kind of one of the main reasons why we started this. And so we want to kind of explore some ways to get some of you guys more engaged a little bit with us. And yeah,
I think
my train of thought.
I think we made some headway in season 1 with sort of establishing ourselves with some community partners. Like, I'm really excited about the work that you guys, and you guys, like you and Haley especially, have been doing with Sarah Paul.
Yeah.
And like Vital Area Wellness. Like, that is one of the most exciting things that I know of in mental health. That's like on the cutting edge forefront, and it's interesting to me. A lot of our episode topics, and like Vital Area in particular, it's like the closer you get to the cutting edge, which is like the future, the closer you're also getting to like the most ancient roots, which is a lot of what it's a lot of what like you and I talk about, Dylan.
Yep.
And that's pretty much what I'm most passionate about, is like rediscovering those ancient roots as like part of the future of mental health practice.
Well, we have this like horrible practice, I think, in society, not just in our society, but if you look at like human society and like anthropocentric history, we do a bunch of stuff and we get somewhere and we do a lot of good work, and then something happens that's like catastrophic, that like everyone perishes. And then we start here, but no one cares to learn or remember or do things prior. They all just try again, and we do the same shit. And like, I think we're all insane. I do, because like society just keeps doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and that's quite literally the definition of insanity. And like, I just don't get it. So I agree with you, because it's the closer we are getting to like what you're saying, like the holistic and the what's been deemed alternative treatments,
alternative to the mainstream. But
yeah, exactly. Alternative to big pharma, alternative to
medicine,
money.
Yeah,
right. It's medicine's healing, and it's hard to tax because it's there, right? And it's because our ancestors and in history and in ancient cultures, there wasn't big pharma to dictate to take a pill. It was, they went out to the woods and there was, you know, a bush that they knew that healed you. And it's like crazy because like we talked about this the other day, you know, there's can be right here a plant that kills you and or can make you sick, and right next to it's going to be growing like an antidote for it. So it's like it's just wild. I don't know.
And it's not to say that we need to go back to a hunter-gatherer society to be healthy, but at the very least moving society in a direction where there are institutions that really know traditional healing remedies, herbal healing remedies, physical body movements that are healing remedies. Like, maybe I don't need to ever be the kind of person who can go out of the woods and know the names of every plant and every medicinal plant, but it would be nice if when I go to the pharmacy, it's not just that they give me a pill with a ton of side effects. It's maybe I'm going to someone who knows about the herbs. Maybe I'm going to someone who also knows about different body movements that if I do 100 times a day, it's going to alleviate this this muscle pain that I've been having or something.
And knowledge is power, right? So just like knowing what is out there and what are different methods that can help you for what is going on. You know?
And that's what I think that's what our like when we were on our little hiatus here, that was something that came up several times because we also went to Nebraska and worked with Jason Steiner, thank you. Oh my gosh. So Jason Steiner with Hero Stock, and it was just like what you're saying. It's connecting, networking, getting people to services, getting people to the help they need through this very organic, really fun, amazing event.
There's some really great nonprofits.
Just amazing, great nonprofits, and like amazing people that we got to meet and talk to, and like what we're talking about too, like the culture of just people being and doing what people should do, right? Being in a community. That's all it's healing. And it's tribal, right? It's that brings us back to the past.
It does, yeah.
But I think that's like the biggest thing that kept coming up over this like break that we little took is that we want to just the network and to the community is just so amazing in mental health, and like to highlight that and to better help and to that's like just to support. That's what we need to do in this community. And the louder this community gets, the louder, the more people who are open to speaking about it, the more people who are open to being vulnerable. Because that's the hardest thing too with mental illness, and I think that needs to be validated. Is it takes an insane amount. It takes an amazing amount. I shouldn't say insane, but it takes an amazing amount of vulnerability to just admit that you may have mental illness, that you may have a mental illness, or that you may have a problem, and then to seek help. Because usually, like we were talking about, you don't know who to go talk to, so you have to go talk to somebody. So you're gonna have to be open with at least one other person saying, "Hey, I need help. Do you know where I can go?"
And then even once you get that help, much of the help is completely bearing yourself and talking about the things that hurt you most, the things that you're the most ashamed about, that are the most painful to you. And that requires great vulnerability, and exposing yourself to that kind of vulnerability takes tremendous strength. And that's a big ask for people, especially with trauma history.
And then when you get in that position, and when you share your story, you know, and like, you know, go back to even our patients at work, or, you know, people that, you know, talk about their trauma. It's both healing for themselves, but that's what really other people attached onto. I feel like is that relatability. You know, when they hear those stories,
well, yeah, and
they relate it to their own trauma.
That was like my favorite part, hands out. Like some of my favorite parts about being in Nebraska. And Greg, next year. You gotta come.
I'll try. Yeah, I'll try. School allowing.
So it's just, I mean, dude, I bet you could talk them into it because there's so many good things. And we met so many amazing people, and the conversations that you had, and like where they go, just having these conversations, just meeting people, and if you. It's just you have to be willing to ask a question and being vulnerable, and that's what we saw is people were open to being vulnerable and talk about it. And when you see that, you see a happy person and a healing person, and it is beautiful, and it is so cool, and you just get comfortable with it. And that's what we were just talking about it too, and in on our way back and stuff, and that's what. I hope that we can do more of. Like, some of our favorite stuff too is just like highlighting people and just like, let's build a community and like get loud with what needs to be changing, because that's the only way change is going to happen. Like, we've talked about how like mental health needs change, it needs more support, it needs these things, because it does. If it stays quiet and it's allowed to be kept being swept under the rug is like not this big issue, then no one's gonna fix it. So like the community needs support to be able to be comfortable, to be vulnerable, to become loud. And it's like these steps that we need to create. Right? I don't know if I said that correctly, but that's how I feel.
It builds on itself, because the goal, our goal in this podcast, one of our goals is to build communities, not just our own, but to sort of be part of other communities that are building, community around Vital Area, community around Hero Stock. We want to be a sort of connective node that facilitates the formation of these other communities. And so like it builds on itself, because when you create a community to invest in community building, this automatically improves the mental health of the people around us. Because I've said it before on this podcast, I'll keep saying it because I think it's an important fact, is that social support is the number one predictor of good mental health outcomes. You may be a mess in many ways, whatever, medication, physical health, whatever, but if you have people around you, if you feel loved and you feel supported and you have people you can sort of reach out to and lean on, like that is the best predictor of good mental health outcomes. So like if we are involved in community building on any level, our own community of our friend network, community of Hero Stock, whatever, like that is automatically helping people. So we want to keep investing in that. Because like that, like what better, in my opinion, what better way to have an impact? And then also not to sort of like, go back to the same thing that I always harp on, but like that is an ancient principle. Like you knew if you were in a hunter-gatherer society that if you got isolated from your tribe, you're way more likely to die. So like you need, like that's one of the most ancient principles. Be good to your people. That's why
we have not been.
Right. No, we have. But I think the sort of like communal social structure and the fact that communities were what keeps you safe is the reason why antisocial personality disorder and what we used to call like sociopathy is pretty rare. Because like if we didn't have this communal social structure, the people who would be the most successful would be the sociopaths, because they would be willing to sort of take advantage unethically. But that's actually not how you get ahead in life. You get ahead in life by being good to your people, by engaging in sort of reciprocal helping each other, being kind, being compassionate. That's what builds you a strong community. The alpha chimps in chimpanzees are not these like brutal authoritarian leaders. Those guys get taken out pretty quick. They're the ones who engage in the social behavior, grooming people, picking out the bugs, that kind of thing, grooming their troop mates, like those. That's real alpha behavior. Not that any of us want to be alphas, but that's what gets you ahead.
But I mean, we could. That's a side tangent, because like I understand like in social where we divide it between bonobos and chimps, right? To show like there's a belief that we are descendant of those two species that created our species, because like if you look at both of those, they have very similar to our combined dynamics. But chimps they have different dynamics, but no, know what? You're right.
That one is common. That one I think you're going to see in both in all apes is the grooming. Grooming to build social connection.
Because one way a chimp will become alpha or like that's his troop is that threatening. Like he'll go literally scare the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, some of that,
but he doesn't last as long because not as many people want to be his homie. Right? He doesn't have as many people who will protect him when things go wrong. Whereas you're right, the one who like kind of builds people on his side. It's really interesting watching those dynamics.
Chimps are more violent, so there's going to be more fighting than you would see in like a bonobo troop. But but that sort of grooming is constant. Like you can't just fight your way to the top as a chimp, because then two chimps will then gang up on you and take you out. So whether you're a chimp or a bonobo, you got to be social. You got to groom. You can't just be this
matriarch.
Oh, are they matriarchs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's very different. And they're all sex.
Okay.
They do sexual favors.
Okay.
They just bone.
I'm pretty sure that in all apes, there's that like kind of grooming. That's the main, because they don't talk. So grooming is sort of the main way they socialize. So that's more what I was talking about. But
that's why I was saying. Like, that's why if you take both those, so like in bonobos, it's matriarchic, and they have bigger troops. They do sexual favors. They are very grooming. There's not this like very aggro.
Not
in chimpanzees, it can get very aggressive. It is patriarchal ran, right? And they are you're right, the grooming thing. But it's just interesting because then you look at our species, because that's what we are, right? We're species. We do none of that.
That's not true.
We do not take care.
It's not valued in the culture as much as it should be.
Yeah, it's not valued, and it's like, but we don't take care of our people because like that's. And you guys have heard me say it multiple times. I'm pretty sure I've said it on this microphone multiple times. I don't delineate. Like there's a lot of things where you'll see, we have a drug crisis, or we have an addictions crisis, we have a homeless crisis, we have a mental health crisis, there's a drug epidemic, right? So we hear all these different things. Why do we need to delineate and label and separate what is a main problem and just get all those labels, all those subcategories? Because it's just this subcategory. Look at the main genre here. We have a humanitarian crisis. Like that's our problem. Around the world, we have a humanitarian crisis where people are not being taken care of, and they could be. Yeah, they easily could be. And I'm not trying to get on this conspiracy shit. There's more than enough podcasts to talk about that. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I don't mean I love listening to those podcasts, but what I'm saying is the fact that there is such a small group of individuals who hold such a large amount of wealth and power in this world and can walk around happily and easily knowing that there's so much suffering happening, and the way to fix it, I'm not saying money fixes everything, but infrastructure is going to fix something.
And, and that's a political point. I mean, you can argue that like we don't tax the richest among us enough, and if we taxed them higher and then funded more into social services, that would do a lot to fix problems. That's definitely true. Social service sector is underfunded, so I agree with that. But there's also the other aspect that you're talking about, which is the cultural piece. What we do not, at least in sort of mainstream American culture that I am familiar with, that I grew up with, we do not seem to value community and people sort of taking care of each other as much as we could.
No.
And that's and it's not that it doesn't exist. It's just not as common as it should be, and it's not as like incentivized in the culture as it should be. It's the sort of like classic American capitalist business culture is just like step on toes and get ahead, like move fast and break things.
The bootstraps. I love that. Yeah, we would talk about that in class. It's like pull yourself up from your own bootstraps. Yeah, right. Like it's if you think about like the American Westernized culture, it's individualized. Like look at everything, right? You can literally just look at our road systems. We drive ourselves. Public transportation is not really a big thing in America. Look at other countries and where they're older and like community is still a big thing. Public transportation is the main way to go, right? And like I like the community aspect is more family. When you have like those big family dinners and those big things, like there's a big community, but big like community cookouts and big like community outings or people. Like, you put it this way, dude. I've lived in my condo now 6 months or over 6 months, right? So I moved in December. I have now met 5 of my neighbors.
Yeah. I've not met a lot of
It's taken that long.
Yeah, I've not met a lot of my neighbors either.
I've been here 8 months. I haven't met one.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? You share space. And I feel like back in the day, you would have known all of them.
Yeah, maybe
you share space, but you're like going to your door and going to your vehicle. It's not like people are hanging out at the stoop.
Yeah, very often. You have no reason to meet them because why? You have everything in your hand and your phone, right? Yeah. You're never gonna need to meet them because you can order flour. Back in the day when you had to go knock on Jerry's door because you ran out of stuff and
a cup of sugar.
It's like 10 o'clock at night, and you DoorDash, baby. Yeah, I don't have to see anybody. I only have to see the person who brings it to my door.
Yeah, I mean, I do value my sort of privacy and my personal space. A sort of a communal social structure can be oppressive. Like if there's a lot of sort of expectations, like you're this age, why you're not married yet, and like all your aunts and uncles are like pressuring you to like do so. Like you're not going to church. Like what's going on with that? Like so that can be oppressive. So I do value my sort of independence a lot. So there's a tension between that. Like there was a time when, again, like traditional societies where like the family was everything. You have pretty much no choices. Like the marriage is going to be arranged for you based on what benefits the society. They have to be of a certain social status. You know, if your dad is a blacksmith, guess what you're going to be doing for your whole life. You know, so like I'm glad that I've moved away from that. So that's a fully embedded sort of communal social structure. I'm glad that I live in a more individualistic society, so I can be free to just pursue my dreams and do whatever I want to do and be sort of like learn about myself and learn about all the various arts and options that I can learn and be true to myself that way. But in pursuing that, which we've done as a society, we have lost that sort of densely knit community fabric that keeps people stable and supported, so that when something bad happens to you, you're not just like shit out of luck, isolated on your own. Like, so I'm glad that we've moved into individualism. We have human rights, we have individual rights. These are important, but now we need to also reintegrate that sort of community drive back into place. And our platform is internet based. We release all of our episodes on the internet. So yeah, the internet is, I think, going to be a great tool of communities interconnecting themselves in the future, and I'm excited about that. Which is
so ironic because it's so detrimental too.
I think that's why we have one of the problems we have is like what we're just talking about. I don't have to meet my neighbors ever because I don't have to ask them for anything because I have the internet. Yeah. And my friends who I already have, I don't need to make any more friends because I can still talk to my friends on the East Coast like they're right next to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is great. Which is
really, I'm not saying down.
From that, yeah.
So I'm not saying down, and like what I'm saying is like looking at it from a bigger view than like the self. It is, we are at a spot where we have gone so far in an individualized culture, and it's an American culture, right? And honestly, if you look at most like first world cultures, for some reason, the more you go up, well, actually, it's not for some reason. It's actually like very obvious, right? Because in poverty, you have to work together. You guys are doing this. You're surviving together. So if you go, there's a unit there. That's your tribe. But the more wealth, the better off. The more you have, the more you want to protect it, the more you go away from people, the further and then we create these structures and we create these things where people get away from like actually being together and caring for each other. And that's kind of like, I just see that we just need to just show a little more compassion for the next person next to us. And like, instead of judging, and that's a conversation that's come up a lot with some friends in passing is, instead of passing judgment so quickly, because we're very apt to do it, especially in our culture where somebody's coming and we're like, oh, they're dirty. Why is this person just screaming? Or even like think about like we call people Karens and stuff. And yes, of course, some of it's justified. Some of you are like, yo, homie, I don't know why you're having such a bad day, but that doesn't deserve that, right? But then there's always those people who might be having reactions, or they might be really fed up or something, and people are making fun of them or being condescending and they're not being helpful, when who knows, maybe there is a shitload of things going on in that individual's life. And if you were in that same situation, you'd be handling it even worse. Well, yeah, and maybe, and just that one incident, it might not even be a big deal, but that one incident was like just that little boop that set it off. The straw that was the last bit. Yeah. And people are so apt to judge and be, oh, that offends me. Or like, why are you talking to me like that person is clearly a bad person? Yeah, well, take yourself out and be like, I wonder what's going on here. Yeah, there might be something behind that. Yeah, let me help, right? And let me at least take one thing and make it easy for you, right? And I just think we need to be, I don't know. That's like when we took this little break, there was like a lot of time like meditation and we just trip and stuff, and that just showed me it's like if you just take a little bit of time and show compassion in conversation, and when you meet somebody and you meet them with genuosity and not just like, hey, how's your day? Cool, good, okay, bye kind of thing, but you actually like ask a question with intention to listen. It's amazing. I think it goes back to it too. That trip in Nebraska was really good on a lot of levels for Dylan and I, and I know personally it was just nice to talk to people in person about what we were doing, what we were trying to do, and then on top of that, be talking to other individuals that are attempting to do things along that same line. A common thing with a lot of those nonprofits were trying to save lives ultimately through community, which is exactly what we're trying to do as well. But it was nice to just get out of the studio and just kind of just like be able to freely talk about what we were doing. And
And that's part of us kind of going bi-weekly is so that we are able to do, eventually Dylan and I want to get a little bit more mobile with, and go downtown and do some interviews and, go on the road. I want to here soon I'll be at some college campuses, just kind of, advertising, I guess you would say, but just telling people what we're trying to do here. And so that kind of goes to what you were saying is it lights a different fire, than us. Not that I don't love recording with you guys here in the studio, but just to be able to talk to people, real people about what we're doing and explain on a different level is, you just feel the energy. It's just different. Yeah. It's nice.
And that being said, we do have communities that if you can't make it out to us or you think that there is great, somebody who you follow or you read that you think is a great person that would be interesting to hear, let us know. You can reach out because we do have communities. We have our webpage, our own webpage, theunzippedmind.com. And then we also have our own Facebook and stuff, which is a great community source. You can post right on our wall. You can message us directly. We love to read them. We love to go over them, and we love to come back and talk to you guys. And then also we have Instagram. We have all the social media. Same thing across the board. It's unzippedmind.com or it's unzippedmind. And just reach out. We're always there, and we like interacting with you guys. And that also lets us know, if there's any other ideas, because this is a community. It's if you guys really want to listen or you all have an idea, that would be cool. Or if you want to come on and talk about and you want to be vulnerable and you want to let others know your story in a healing way, we would love to spotlight that and give people that space to share their stories to hopefully give strength to others.
Oh, yeah.
Or even if there's a mental illness or disorder that you wanted to know a little bit more about.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite too. We would love to delve in and depending on the illness or disorder, we'll have someone on, someone licensed on, and we can delve in even deeper. So if there's one that you want to kind of learn a little bit more about, let us know. Reach out.
I got a question for you guys. When you all first started working at a psych hospital, it doesn't matter anyone. When you all started working at an acute facility, where we do work, what was one disorder that was caught you off guard? You were like, "Whoa, I did not know that it could get to that level," or you know what I'm asking?
I would think we have the same answer.
Yeah, what's yours?
Which would be schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Really?
I would agree.
You know what mine was? Postpartum schizophrenia.
Oh yeah, postpartum psychosis. Yeah.
Psychosis. That one, I was like,
yeah,
that's a thing. And then when I saw it, I was like,
physical characteristics.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was like,
yeah.
My heart broke.
That's one we're not going detail because I would that would be a really good topic.
I didn't know it was
because it is so interesting.
And yeah, I think there's so much stigma around psychosis, and so for you were young. You were pretty young when you started working at the hospital.
Yeah.
I was 21, I guess. I had a lot of stereotypes about mental illness and very little experience. So when I started working directly with people with schizophrenia, I was just, really caught off guard. I didn't know how to communicate with this person. Someone had a delusion, a certain delusion. And I was joking about it. And then I realized that the joking was really insensitive, and so then and then seeing all the different types of hallucinations and delusions and stuff, I'm glad that I had that experience to learn about it.
I was the same. I was about 22, I think, when I started there, but I had a lot of the same experience. I had a lot of experiences of thinking that the person was joking.
Really?
Just because it was so extreme, whether it was the internal stim or the delusions, it almost was it was just, my mind couldn't wrap around it at the time. It just seemed are you kidding? Are you, or is that not on thing? And then, over time you realize no, this is really what their reality is.
And it's intense suffering, especially once they come out of it and realize what they had been and what they've been doing before, you can see they're suffering intensely.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that I've had that experience to sort of learn more about it and be more sensitive to it.
I love hearing that from that perspective. 'Cause this is interesting because I love hearing that from that perspective, because I didn't work into a clinical role like this until after school. So my perspective was from the textbooks,
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So my perspectives were very clinical, one from your abnormal psych book, right? Any abnormal psychology textbook, right? And then I got into the hospital, and the first time I saw somebody talking, like really talking to delusions, right? Which it happens, and you can go downtown and you'll see it.
Yeah.
Somebody looking at a physical place in space where nothing actually is, but to them there is.
That's super sad.
But then, you know, you're reading it, you're like, okay, well, all right, and then you see, you're like, that does not translate.
Yeah.
That it is whoa, and it's actually it's one so schizoaffective is one of my favorite. It's the most interesting disorder for me personally. It is super sad. I get that. It is so interesting.
Schizoaffective disorder being schizophrenia with a co-occurring mood disorder like bipolar or depression.
But what's so interesting to me is our brains are electrical impulses. That's what builds our reality. To them, and that's what blows my mind about it. Something's happening where there's an electrical impulse that is creating a reality that no one else sees. It's just there's so many things I wonder about it, and like it's interesting.
It's
interesting.
Super sad.
I would love to deep dive.
Yeah, I mean, we learn a lot from our patients. I've definitely learned a lot about
so
their experiences and about life. It's an honor to be there to support them in you know when they're in crisis like that.
It truly is. That's one of the coolest things that I love what we do. And I love this, and that's also what came out of Nebraska. Like when we went there, and we went on this trip, and we did this, and this whole time when we took breaks off too, because we went downtown, we're talking to people, like, or you know, I just talk to people a lot. I don't shut it down. All right, it's people want to talk about mental health. That's one thing that I have been. What's been made very clear over this time we've taken a break. Yeah. People want to talk about it. They just have to. All you got to do is open the door. Yeah, it's very little of, and then it's off to the races.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, and that's telling me no one's giving them the time to. No, just open your ears.
Yeah,
and I love that's what we get to do. Like my biggest thing at work and when we're here is just like, it's giving people the space to say what they need to say.
Yeah, it's an honor. It's an honor to do that at the job. It's an honor to do this podcast and give people platforms. Like, one of our guests has a chronic mental illness that she's managing very well. So glad we were able to sort of elevate her voice and then the voice of clinicians who are trying to make an impact. It's a real honor.
Without a doubt. So that being said, if you guys have a voice that you would love to hear elevated and honored on our podcast, and if you guys have a topic that you have questions about that you want us to kind of dive into a little bit, do our research and try to come at it with you come back with you guys at it, just send us an email or contact us on the unzippedmind.com or shoot over to our Facebook page, Unzipped Mind Podcast. Unzipped Mind.
The Unzipped Mind.
The Unzipped Mind, that's it. I don't know why, dude. Why do I mess our Facebook up?
There's lots of variations. Unzipped Mind, the Unzipped Mind, the Unzipped Mind podcast.
So just head over to our...
Just Google Unzipped Mind. We'll pop up.
Yeah.
We'll pop up lots of results.
Yeah, and go ahead and just message us. And, we look forward to doing another season with you guys. Again, it's going to be every other Monday now that we're going to release an episode. That does not mean we will be quiet in between those weeks.
No, so we might even throw a bonus episode.
Oh shit!
On some Mondays.
Bonuses.
There might be.
Special prize.
Special prizes. So keep your ears out. Keep us followed. Hit that like, subscribe, just to keep posted with what we're doing, and if you wanna keep up to date. And we look forward to another wonderful season of deep diving into and just talking to really cool people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys
later.